All right, y'all. Quick video. Back again. Training for this marathon, y'all. I just touching on yesterday's conversation, going into like building a community, right? And what I notice is people desire to want to get inside of that community, but something may not be clicking, right? And you may, desire to be in that type of, friend group or wealth group, run group, or whatever. But most of the time, things usually don't accommodate around yourself. Things accommodate with who and what you're tapping into. Meaning, transitioning from a sedentary lifestyle to a more active lifestyle. Your friends the sedentary friends just won't be there, right? And you still can keep your friends, but the sedentary friends won't be there if you're trying to go active. And when you're in an active group, transitioning from a sedentary lifestyle, majority of the time, you yourself have to accommodate to that group's rules. Kind of like getting into a club or getting into a fraternity. You got to go through certain rules and customs to be able to be called one of their own or one of your own if you are the one that start in that group. So my advice to you is stop complaining about the friends and what you aspire to be, and literally match up to those that are surrounding you. If you were trying to get into the 1% income earners, you wouldn't complain about what you had to do business-wise or income-wise to reach that goal. Same way with this run group. This is my first time training for a marathon. So even though I've been in the gym lifting weights consistently, right? That still doesn't mean that I'm a runner or I'm a marathon runner at that, right? So the biggest thing I can do is just take on the data that's already been given to me via YouTube, friend groups, people at the gym, so on and so forth. And you got to take that data and you can't contemplate, you just got to jump in. And it's the biggest thing. Much respect to all of the runners and marathon runners out there. I'm gonna tell you, it's definitely something that's gonna push you. It's definitely something that's gonna set you apart from who you're surrounding yourself around. And it's only a niche group. They may be big when they come together, but locally, when you start looking around in your own city, it's like, who's running a marathon, right? Where the runners at? And you start realizing everybody's just on a different time scale when they get their stuff done. I was watching this woman on TikTok, and she's a marathon runner. And all you keep seeing her is like mile 1, mile 2, mile 3. And you start realizing like who's around or who's surrounding her. This right here. Nobody, right? When you're trying to do a goal like that, nobody's around, which is the ultimate push. So another thing, you're trying to get inside of a community or build your own. You either got to set that tone or you got to rise to that tone so you can relate. Now, it's going to be difficult, but just like everything else, if you have sedentary friends, you can have active friends. So it shouldn't be any excuse why you shouldn't be able to rise to the occasion, because you can rise to watch Netflix. You can rise to and stay up late at night to eat snacks, so on and so forth. But what about getting up at 3:30, 4:30 in the morning, right? Being out here, how they say, tasting that air, getting up out of that bed, putting yourself first. what you want to do first, putting your health first, putting even your friend group first. Because how can you want to hang out and be a part of something if you're not gonna be doing what it takes to be amongst that friend group? If you want to be around marathon runners, can you be around them just running 3 miles? They're good for like encouragement, but don't you feel like that they will be holding you back, you know? Because, I mean, you holding them back because they have to reduce themselves down to come back to your level, and you got to rise to the occasion. But it's best to tackle it on. And when you're prepared for that, do your research. All of a sudden, gaining that entry seems way better. So prepare yourself for what you are trying to accomplish or achieve or be a part of. Don't try to make the world conform to your standards unless you're going to create that standard for yourself, which is way harder than joining something that's already established. Kind of like starting a business. Most people fail because they're starting a business with no customers. Okay, and you're like, oh, everybody starts with no customers. That's not true. A startup does not mean that you are starting with no customers. It means that when you say start a business, it means go buy a business that has customers so you can cash flow on day one. Another story for another day. Same way with running. You can start alone by yourself, but maybe you need to start at a, smaller friend group or smaller run group that's more your speed, so you can get used to the mechanics, so you can get used to the pace, so you can get used to the mindset that it's gonna take. And then when you're ready to progress, are they not gonna be your friends, right? Are you not gonna invite them somewhere because you just went above and beyond them? No, that was a building block to get you where you needed to be. So my encouragement is to you is, if you're trying to be a part of something, rise to the occasion. Don't have superficial standards. Don't sit here and complain about rules that are already set in stone, especially when you're trying to break into an industry or be a part of it. Like my dad always told me, he said, you're a superstar. He said, but now you got to become a superstar amongst superstars. And that doesn't mean things change. That means you got to go here mentally, and you got to rise to the occasion physically. And if it's a perfect fit, you'll gain entry. You'll be around. You'll rise to the occasion without any complaints. And all of a sudden you'll feel as one with what you're trying to align yourself in doing. So my advice to you is get up. Think about what you're doing. Think about what you want to be a part of. Look at the standards and what it's going to take, and go rise to the occasion. Don't sit here and try to complain about communities or create a community and then start to complain when things don't work out. Most likely is you. You got to do the work. You got to set yourself apart. And if you're trying to join something, you got to be a part of the team, which the team could be small and the team could be large, but everybody has to be a part of something. And taking the way out of saying, well, they can have that or they can do that, is just a recipe for loneliness. So get out here, find yourself a community, and if you're able, create a community that you can set your own standards if you're that type of person. But I would suggest you be a part of a community first before you step out on your own. And then you'll find yourself easier to communicate, easier to set your own guidelines, and easier to also recruit individuals to your way. Okay? So y'all have a great day. Like I said, still training for this marathon. It's a light day again. We got a long day this week coming up. Thinking about filming that. But for the time being, get out here and be a part of something.